The Louisville bank shooting, a live-streamed tragedy. In a world where headlines blur into each other and tragedy seems constant, some events break through the noise and force us to stop, to question everything we thought we knew about safety, sanity, and society. The Louisville bank shooting wasn't just another senseless act of violence. It was a meticulously planned execution, live-streamed to the world, and carried out by someone no one expected. This is the haunting story of Connor Sturgeon, a well-educated, well-mannered young man who turned into a mass shooter. Before we dive into this shocking story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Crime Cipher, and hit the bell so you never miss a case that demands attention. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear what you think. The shooting at Old National Bank. On April 10, 2023, the city of Louisville, Kentucky was shaken to its core when a gunman entered the Old National Bank just before opening hours and opened fire. Armed with an AR-15-style rifle, he began shooting inside the building, targeting his coworkers. 5 innocent employees lost their lives that day, with ages ranging from 40 to 64, each with families, dreams, and futures now erased. 9 others were injured in the terrifying attack, including a young rookie police officer who had only recently joined the force. He was shot in the head while responding to the emergency, a chilling reminder of how even those who run toward danger often pay the highest price. The attack lasted only a few minutes, but those minutes were filled with chaos and unimaginable fear. Louisville Metro Police arrived within 3 minutes and immediately engaged the shooter. In the exchange of gunfire, the attacker was killed, ending the threat but not the horror. Witnesses described the scene as fast, brutal, and disorienting, the kind of violence you never expect in a place of work. But what made this tragedy even more horrifying wasn't just the loss of life. It was how the world found out. Because this attack, unlike most, wasn't reported after the fact. It was live-streamed as it happened. Who was Connor Sturgeon? The shooter was 25-year-old Connor Sturgeon, a name that shocked the community. He wasn't a stranger, an outsider, or some shadowy figure with a criminal record. In fact, he had worked at the bank as an intern for 3 summers and was recently hired as a full-time employee. He was known by name and face within the organization. Friends, classmates, and former coworkers described him as polite, intelligent, respectful, someone who showed no signs of aggression or hostility. On social media, he appeared normal, even thoughtful, with no indications of extremist beliefs or hate. Connor held advanced degrees from the University of Alabama and came from a supportive family. On paper, he was the kind of young professional any employer would be glad to have. Well-spoken, well-educated, seemingly stable. But beneath this exterior, cracks were forming. It was later revealed that those closest to him had noticed struggles, even though no one could have predicted the extent of the danger. His life, once filled with promise, had quietly turned toward darkness, and no one was prepared for the storm that followed. Mental health and a disturbing motive. As investigators dug deeper, a disturbing picture emerged. Connor had long been battling mental health issues, possibly triggered by repeated head injuries suffered during his high school sports years. He reportedly wore a helmet during basketball practices to protect himself from concussions, a rare and telling detail. Friends and family knew he was struggling emotionally, but he wasn't someone who ever lashed out or spoke violently. He didn't fit the mold of a typical threat, which may be exactly why no one saw this coming. In the days before the attack, Connor was informed that he was being let go from his position at the bank. For a young man who had worked there for years and built part of his identity around the job, this news may have felt like a crushing betrayal. He left behind a note detailing his plans, not just vague threats, but a blueprint of the violence he intended to carry out. This wasn't a spontaneous breakdown or a robbery gone wrong. It was a premeditated act of revenge, born from despair, frustration, and perhaps a desire to be heard, even if it meant through bloodshed. The live stream, a chilling new normal. As if the violence wasn't horrifying enough, Connor chose to broadcast the entire event live on Instagram. This decision transformed a mass shooting into a public spectacle. Anyone who followed his account could watch the horror unfold in real time, turning murder into content. The live stream didn't last long, but it left a digital scar that is hard to erase. For viewers, it was a jarring and traumatic experience. a moment when the boundary between online and offline horrors completely collapsed. This wasn't the first time a mass shooting was live-streamed. In 2019, the Christchurch mosque attack was streamed on Facebook, resulting in 51 deaths. In 2022, a white supremacist streamed his racially motivated massacre in a Buffalo supermarket on Twitch, killing 10. While Connor's motives don't appear to be political or racial, his method fits a disturbing trend, using social media as a stage for real-world violence. It raises urgent questions about the responsibility of tech platforms and whether they're prepared for the dark ways users exploit their tools. Why did he do it? Even now, we may never truly understand what drove Connor Sturgeon to kill his colleagues and broadcast it to the world. Was it a desperate plea for help? A twisted act of revenge? Or something even darker? A desire for infamy in an age where visibility feels like power? Experts and investigators have debated his motives, but the truth may be a tangled web of mental health struggles, emotional trauma, and an unfiltered outlet through social media. Some believe Connor wanted the world to feel his pain. Others think he simply wanted to leave a mark, a cruel legacy etched in headlines and hashtags. Whatever his reason, the result is the same. Shattered families, a devastated city, and another chapter in America's long and painful relationship with mass shootings. We are once again left asking the same questions. Why didn't we see it? What could have stopped it? And how many more lives must be lost before something changes? The aftermath. In the days that followed, Louisville grieved. The victims' names were read at vigils as candles flickered in the night. The mayor and the governor made impassioned statements calling for healing, justice, and reform. But for many, the words felt familiar, echoes from countless tragedies past. The pain felt personal for the city, not just because of the loss, but because of how close to home it struck. For those who worked downtown, who knew the bank, or who had family nearby, it felt like a nightmare they couldn't wake up from. The live stream was eventually taken down, but the trauma lingers, not just for the survivors and the families, but for anyone who accidentally saw a glimpse of the footage or read the gut-wrenching updates online. This is the haunting reality of modern violence. It doesn't just kill, it spreads. Through screens, through headlines, through memory. And perhaps the most terrifying part is that this may only be the beginning of a new, digital era of mass shootings, where killers don't just act, they perform. Digital witnesses, real trauma. Today, we live in a world where you don't need to be physically present to be a witness to violence. You can be thousands of miles away and still feel the weight of a bullet-ridden live stream in your gut. This shooting proved that trauma is no longer confined to the crime scene. It spreads like wildfire through retweets, headlines, and viral clips. And yet, we're still not fully prepared for how to deal with that, emotionally, legally, or culturally. How do we support people who watch these horrors unfold live? How do we hold platforms accountable for what they enable or fail to stop? And how do we keep this from becoming normalized? Because if we scroll past shootings the same way we scroll past memes, we lose something essential. Our empathy, our outrage, our call to act. We can't afford to go numb. Not now. What can we do? The Louisville bank shooting wasn't just another statistic. It was a flashing red warning sign about the intersection of mental illness, gun access, and digital platforms. It's time to ask hard questions. Should someone struggling mentally have access to high-powered weapons? What mental health support should employers provide? And most critically, what is the responsibility of platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch in stopping the next live stream tragedy? We may not have all the answers, but we know one thing for sure. We can't look away. We can't let these horrors fade into the background. We need to fight for change in our laws, in our platforms, and in how we support those on the edge. Connor Sturgeon didn't want to disappear quietly. He made sure the world was watching. Now it's our turn to watch and act. This wasn't just a story about a shooting. It was a story about all of us. If this video moved you, hit that like button, share it, and subscribe to Crime Cipher for more deep dives into stories that matter. Let us know in the comments. Let's not just talk about the violence. Let's talk about what we can do to stop it.